a specific person. So this is how law enforcement is looking at this. So as they move through this campus and clear these places, they have to remember now that two people were involved. So they have to, that really puts them on guard now to look and consider the fact that there may be more people out there. And then also the city has to realize this because it's been the case where shooters have left and then went and continued to kill throughout as they drove around the city that they were at. And if this is a more of a coordinated attack, that's something that could happen. These are things we have to think about, law enforcement has to consider.
Absolutely. That's why right now the continued shelter in place is still in effect. Or on X right now. Everyone is advised to stay put until law enforcement gets to them. Bernard, talk about that. I mean, obviously the campus is massive. It's a huge school. There's a lot of buildings to go through. Yet we already have allegedly 2 shooters here. They've got to make sure there's not more. To Jonathan's point, this seems to be a wider net.
It's a massive tactical challenge because they have to secure every space for the potential of there being more. And that's going to take them some time. You know, one thing that's great to note here is the amount of time it took law enforcement to respond and stop the shooting, because this is improving over time generally, nationally, on how we respond to mass casualty events, with the exception of another Florida one that was notoriously bad. There is no waiting for a tactical team or a decision for a command post. Whoever gets there first has to engage whatever known shooters there are. The follow-up is to find others. And as Jonathan pointed out, the conspiratorial aspects of this are daunting because there's going to be that much more challenge in the region, the proximity, and particularly this campus, because as we've seen in other shooters, people that are involved can blend in with the evacuation. The fact that there's more than...
If anyone have family members that attend FSU in Tallahassee, Florida, check on your relatives. Check on your relatives. If y'all have relatives that attend FSU, check on your relatives. They have one suspect in custody. They have one suspect that's dead. Yeah, Pelican. Yeah, Pelican. So if you know anybody have relatives there, check on your relatives. Check on your relatives.
one person involved here, I would guess very strongly that with the coming hours, they're going to know a lot about the shooters and the people they associate with. There's probably a lot of breadcrumbs that lead to what they were doing and other people they were involved in. But right now, it's the enormity of the tactical problem to make sure the campus is safe and the area is safe.
Yeah, Bernard, again, to that point, as you said, it won't take long before law enforcement likely knows everything there is to know about these 2 alleged shooters. What types of things do investigators use to track those things down so quickly? I'm guessing social media is probably part of it.
Yes, well, you know, there's so many metrics that
It's a
identify these
blessing.
individuals now.
That's a blessing.
We have an electric and a digital life that is very hard to conceal, and they'll have access to that immediately. The other thing is, you know, if you look in retrospect at mass casualty events, whether it's a single shooter or, in this case, people work...
There was a mass shooting at FSU, Lorenzo. A mass shooting at FSU. One of the suspects is dead, and they have one in custody. A lot of injuries. So they're treating a lot of people at the emergency room right now. So if you know people that attend Florida State University, please check on your relatives. Check on your relatives. Check on your relatives.
together in collusion is there's a amount of narcissism and ego that goes with it. There's either an attributed anger, an ideology, whatever it is, they probably broadcasted something in some way, either to each other or personal messaging, but it's going to reveal a lot. And I think in the coming days, if not sooner, there'll be some ideal as to motive and intent. In addition, and of course, these things are going on simultaneously. As they're clearing this campus and the area, you have the investigations already started, obviously, and care for the victims and care for the responders who've been engaged in this firefight, essentially, to resolve the immediate threat.
Jonathan, what do you think about potentially, and you were talking about this, even more involved? You know, it appears to have 2 shooters. exactly led up to this. What do you think we're going to find?
Well, it's the fact that they have an individual, if they can identify either one of these individuals, but they have somebody who's alive that's one of the shooters. That is a huge thing because the quicker they can identify them, the faster all these texts.
So yeah, Lorenzo, yeah, it's crazy. Pelicans is crazy. Yeah, you have to stay prayed up. You have to stay prayed up because it can happen anywhere. It can happen anywhere, literally. So just stay prayed up. Make sure you guys got your house. Make sure you got your house in order. And stay protected. Order a shield of protection. Order a shield of protection to cover you, to cover your families. Um, but one thing for sure, and two things for certain: death is inevitable. It's gonna happen to all of us. You just have to stay prayed up, keep your children prayed up, your relatives prayed up, and we living in a crazy America. We are living in a crazy America. We talk a lot about third world countries and what's going on in third world countries, but here, right in our own backyard, we have a lot of insanity going on. So, like I say, just stay prayed up, y'all. I'm gonna continue to bring y'all the news, but stay prayed up. Keep your families prayed up. Just give thanks that none of your people attended that universe and nobody got hurt that you know of. But yeah, that's what's going on, y'all. That's what's going on, y'all. I'm gonna play this one more time just for my late people that's jumping in here late so they can see exactly what's going on. And thank y'all. But let people know. Check on your family members. Check on your family members.
A specific person. So this is how law enforcement is looking at this. So as they move through this campus and clear these places, they have to remember now that two people were involved. So they have to. That really puts them on guard now to look and consider the fact that there may be more people out there. And then also the city has to realize this because it's been the case where shooters have left and then went and continued to kill throughout as they drove around the city that they were at. And if this is a more of a coordinated attack, that's something that could happen. These are things we have to think about. Law enforcement has to consider.
Absolutely, and that's why right now the continue to shelter in place is still in effect. Right, or on X right now, everyone is advised to stay put until law enforcement gets to them. Bernard, talk about that. I mean, obviously the campus is massive. It's a huge school. There's a lot of buildings to go through. Yet we already have allegedly two shooters here. They've got to make sure there's not more. To Jonathan's point, this seems to be a wider net.
It's a massive tactical challenge because they have to secure every space for the potential of there being more. And that's going to take them some time. One thing that's great to note here is the amount of time it took law enforcement to respond and stop the shooting, as this is improving over time generally, nationally, in how we respond to mass casualty events, with the exception of another Florida one that was notoriously bad. There is no waiting for a tactical team or a decision for a command post. Whoever gets there first has to engage whatever known shooters there are. The follow-up is to find others. And as Jonathan pointed out, the conspiratorial aspects of this are daunting because there's going to be that much more challenge in the region, the proximity, and particularly this campus because, as we've seen in other shooters, people that are involved can blend in with the evacuation. The fact that there's more than one person involved here, I would guess very strongly that within the coming hours, they're going to know a lot about the shooters and the people they associate with. There's probably a lot of breadcrumbs that lead to what they were doing and other people they were involved in. But right now, it's the enormity of the tactical problem to make sure the campus is safe and the area is safe.
Yeah, Bernard, again, to that point, as you said, it won't take long before law enforcement likely knows everything there is to know about these two alleged shooters. What types of things do investigators use to track those things down so quickly? I'm guessing social media is probably part of it.
Yes, well, there's so many metrics that identify us as individuals now that we have an electric and a digital life that is very hard to conceal, and they'll have access to that immediately. The other thing is, if you look in retrospect at mass casualty events, whether it's a single shooter or in this case, people working together in collusion, is there's a amount of narcissism and ego that goes with it. There's either an attributed anger, an ideology, whatever it is, they probably broadcasted something in some way, either to each other or personal messaging, but it's going to reveal a lot. And I think in the coming days, if not sooner, there'll be some ideal as to motive and intent. In addition, and of course, these things are going on simultaneously. As they're clearing this campus and the area, you have the investigations already started, obviously, and care for the victims and care for the responders who've been engaged in this firefight, essentially, to resolve the immediate threat.
Jonathan, what do you think about potentially, and you were talking about this, even more involved? It appears to have two shooters with this tragedy here. The likelihood of those
Hey, how you
two
doing?
not broadcasting or putting something on social.
Hey, how you doing, boo? Um, yeah, it was a mass shooting in Florida, FSU. Um, one of the people, the shooters, alleged shooters, is dead, and they have one in custody. So if you got people down there, check on your people. Check on your people.
Media, to Katrina's point, as they go to try and track down what exactly led up to this. What do you think we're going to find?
Well, it's the fact that they have an individual, if they can identify either one of these individuals, but they have somebody who's alive that's one of the shooters. That is a huge thing because the quicker they can identify them, the faster all these texts.
So yeah, check on your people. Check on your people. Stay prayed up. One thing that's definitely inevitable is we all gonna go one day, but just stay prayed up. Order a shield of protection over yourself, over your families. Like I said, stay prayed up. Just wanted to bring y'all this news. Y'all have a good day. I'll see y'all in a little bit. I will be tapping back in with y'all. I have some new content that I will be dropping. Y'all stay posted. Y'all stay tuned in. I thank y'all. I'm out.